You gotta get to the quarterback.
Yeah, always. Always.
Welcome back once again to Lakewood's 1st and 10 for PonyFans Live. We're joined tonight by SMU All-American Russell Carter and current SMU secondary coach Derrick Odum. Russell, we're talking about the secondary that you played in and how talented it was between you and John Simmons, Wes Hopkins. Was there ever a team that you faced that intimidated your defense at all, either in their passing ability or the speed and the depth they could roll out there?
No, not at that time. Nobody.
Never?
Nobody. No, we were, like I said, we still had Roderick Jones and Reggie Phillips that went #1 to the Chicago Bears. We had a pretty stacked team. We would practice hard, and it would just translate in us playing hard. And like Coach was saying, we had a very good pass rush with Michael Carter and Jerry Ball and Mitch Willis, and we had Byron Hunt and just people that could get to the ball. So
it sounds like an NFL, that was almost an NFL defense.
We had a very good team back there, very good team. Good players too, good guys.
All right, now, Coach, you're going out to Lubbock in 10 days. And people talk about the Texas Tech offense over the last 5, 6, 8 years has been probably the most prolific passing offense in the country. Mike Leach is no longer their head coach. Tommy Tuberville comes in, and he's always had more of a balanced system, but they're still going to go to the air an awful lot, right? Their new offensive coordinator is from Neil Brown, is from Troy. And they threw the ball, what, 70% of the time last year? What kind of passing attack do you expect from them?
Well, I think it's on more on the lines of a Houston. You know, Houston runs the ball effectively because of their throw game is effective, and so I think it's going to be on the lines of that. But they've got two really good backs, and you know, I think they're going to have some more tight end formations, and they're going to try to run it, and they're going to throw it really well because they got that in place already. You know, with their quarterbacks and their receiving group, so. They're going to be balanced, but I think they're going to still throw the ball a little bit more, but we're going to definitely see some run.
A lot of times when you change over from one coaching staff to another, and the perception is there's going to be some sort of a shift in the schemes, which is harder, to change from a passing to a run offense, or taking players who were recruited for, say, Mike Leach's passing offense and fit them into the new coach's passing offense? Are the routes and passing and the plays called going to be totally different, or are you going to see a lot of similar things?
Well, I think it's harder to transfer from a running offense to a throwing offense, because now your offensive linemen, they used to come firing off the ball. Now they got to set back and be more athletic in space and pass block. But like I said, they got some big old offensive linemen, and you know they're going to be tough. They're a really solid offense, and we're going to have our hands full that day.
Okay, you've mentioned many times that your secondary is only going to be as good as the front seven in front of them, and how much pass protection they can generate, or how much pass rush they can generate. And in years past, Tech has been rolling out these lines that are averaging what, 6'5", 350 or something, and they have huge splits between the different blockers on that line. Are they still going to run that kind of wide split system with their linemen?
I'm not sure. I don't know. You know, their offensive line coach stayed, but I don't know how much influence he has on what they're going to do. But, you know, if they do, we'll adjust and go. And, you know, we got a really good front. You know, there's Marquise Frazier, he's over there. But we got a good defensive line, and they've been working hard all camp. And you know, I expect us to get to that quarterback.
Okay, now I asked Russell if there was ever a team that intimidated his defense, which we got a quick no. With as many young guys as you have on your defense, is it possible, or how do you guard against that when you see the ridiculous numbers that Tech's offense has put up in recent years? How do you guard against those numbers getting into your players' heads?
Well, we always talk about if we just do what we do, we'll be fine. And those guys buy into it. They're real detail-oriented, okay? They trust their technique, they trust their assignments, and they go into the game very confident that whatever they see, they can adjust and play well. And so, you know, looking back to last year, you know, we faced some really prolific offenses, and we held them in check for the most part. You know, like Houston was you know, #1 in the country last year, and you know, I think we cut their production in half. And so that's you know, a tribute to these guys. They go into a game, they have a sense that they want to do their part and contribute to this win. And we know on defense, that's a major thing. We got to slow down some of these offenses because our conference and the teams we play are high profile now. They throw the ball, they run it, and everything is upbeat and fast and going. And so, you know, our guys don't get intimidated by that. They're excited about it, can't wait to get on the field and show what they can do.
Russell, a couple of weeks ago, I talked to your old coach, Ron Meyer,
yes,
and he said that at some point after he got to Dallas, got to SMU, it wasn't so much scouting the opponent. I mean, obviously you scout the opponent to a degree, but after a while, he got to the point where it was the other team's responsibility to worry about what you were going to do rather than you adjusting so much to what they were going to do. How much of that was just the accumulation of great talent, and how did you get to the point where they had to worry about you maybe even more than you had to worry about what they were doing?
Well, I think the talent was the biggest thing. I wasn't here when Ron first got here, but I heard that he weeded a lot of people out and got his type of people to start coming to SMU. And you know, when you have Eric Dickerson and the Craig James and Lance McElhaney and, you know, Michael Carter and Harvey Armstrong.
And Russell Carter.
Thank you. It makes it a little easier for us to dictate and play the game that how we wanted to play. So actually I remember Steve Sidwell, he used to come in and his biggest saying, it was like a knife fight, gang fight, cutting and shooting for 60 minutes, and we took that into every game. And that's, you know, run to the ball, hit as hard as you can, you make a mistake, pat each other on the behind and keep on going.
Coach, 2 years ago, you and your entire staff were new at SMU. So you've been through what the Tech coaches are going through right now, which is taking over a team full of players they didn't recruit. Which is harder, preparing for a team with new coaches or coaching a team whose players were recruited for somebody else in somebody else's system?
Well, if you trust what you do as a coach, and so you feel that you can take anybody and teach them the things that you need to get done, but it's harder to prepare for a team that you haven't seen on film. You know, there's nothing out there that you can try to scheme, and so I think that's a lot more difficult to plan for a team that you haven't seen play yet than taking over somebody else's guys.
And when you're prepping for this game, how much do you study Tech's film from last year to know their personnel versus studying Troy's film to know Coach Brown's schemes and what he likes to do? Is that a 50-50 split, or is one far more important than the other?
Yeah, it's the same. It's 50-50 because you have to see, you know, who's still returning for their team and how they produce, and you know how fast, how they run their routes, and you know the quarterback's arm strength. Can he get out? Is he mobile? You know, all those type of things. And then you look at scheme. You know, what do they like to do on offense? So it's 50-50. We have to prepare well. The guys have been doing that so far, and so it's getting closer. We're ready.
All right, Russell, Texas Tech has a huge student body, big stadium, and they're somewhat famous for being loud, rowdy, vocal, shall we say. Where did the Texas Tech crowds rank as far as all the stadiums that you went into as a visiting player? How tough is that environment to play in Lubbock?
Well, I think when we were here, we actually lost to them 1 year and won on a miracle play 1 year. So that just goes to show you they're, like I said, very tough, very vocal, and they play well down there in front of their people. So, like I said, we lost my freshman year. They held like Dick and Craig to under 100 yards, and the next year we were there, we had to win on a miracle play, last play of the game. So they're going to be very tough.
There are a lot of coaches who talk about nothing or very few things are as satisfying as going into someone else's house and beating them on their field in front of their crowd. And the miracle play that you talk about, the kickoff return that gets lateraled all the way across the field to Bobby Leach, and he takes it 90-something yards.
Right.
How good did that silence feel when you saw him go into the end zone?
Well, you can't get any better than that. I mean, we were dead. So, you know, to come back and pull out a win with a play like that, you know, you can't explain it. It's good to hear them quiet, and we were the biggest yellers out there, so, you know, it's really exciting at that time.
And from your standpoint, when you go into a place like Jones Stadium with, they're going to have, what, 60, 70,000 people there, how hard is that for you in terms of just communicating with your guys? And how do you prepare for that? Are you going to pipe in sound at Ford Stadium during the week leading up to it? How do you prepare for an environment like that?
Well, you don't really prepare for it because you haven't been in that situation. But well, I mean, you know, some of our players have when we went up there that first year. But you know, you just trust your technique. It doesn't matter what's around you. You just focus on the task at hand and don't get caught up in all the stuff around you. And settle down and just play the game. You know, they put on their pants just like we do, so we're gonna play the game. Trust your technique. Trust your, you know, make sure your assignment's sound, and play. You know, we'll see what happens at the end.
All right, as you get ready for this game, keys to a strong defensive performance and pulling out a win. What are you focused on as your priorities on your checklist of what these guys need to do?
Well, as a defense, you know, we have to settle down early. You know, we're going to be still trying to feel them out of what they're going to try to do to us offensively. And once we get, you know, understanding of what they're trying to do, we'll settle in and play aggressive defense, fly around, get the ball out of the air, and get some turnovers and get it back to our offense so they can score some points. So that's what we're going to do.
Reports out of Lubbock are that Coach Tuberville has chosen Taylor Potts as his starting quarterback, who's a little bigger than Steven Schaefer. A little bit bigger, stronger arm, not as fast. Which kind of quarterback matches up better, or which kind of quarterback does your defense match up better with?
Well, it doesn't matter, really. I mean, they're both good quarterbacks. I mean, one has a real strong arm. He's led them, won a lot of games for him. The other one's an athletic guy that can still throw it around. And so, you know, I hate to give the political answer here, but
but you are.
Yeah, but you know, we can't worry about that. We got to. I mean, if we're aligned right, it doesn't matter, and we're playing our techniques right. It doesn't matter who's throwing it. If we're doing our thing right, we should be all right.
You got a prediction for them for the first game?
Well, just play hard. Everything falls into place when you play hard. Don't get down when things go bad. Just keep it even. They'll be all right.
All right, I want to thank our guests, Russell Carter, All-American defensive back, 10th pick in the '84 draft. Derrick Odum, secondary coach for SMU. We want to thank Game Day Cloth. For those of you who are here in attendance tonight, make sure you come by the Game Day Cloth table over here to the right and check out their grand opening, which is Friday the 10th at their store at the corner of Legacy and the Tollway in Plano. And also we want to thank Lakewood First and 10, recently named Best Sports Bar in Dallas. If any of you have questions that you'd like to ask Russell Carter and Coach Odum after the break, we do have a microphone up here. Otherwise, thank you very much for coming. We'll see you again during the week after the Tech game.
All right.